Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Niga Med Guide. Today's lecture topic is homeostasis and this is a basic topic of physiology subject. Let's discuss it in detail. Objectives that we will cover in this lecture are homeostasis definition, its main components, role of nervous and endocrine system in homeostasis, and mechanism involved in homeostasis that are positive and negative feedback mechanism. Internal environment of human body fluctuates with external environmental changes, but it should be within normal, well-balanced condition, and this is done by a process that is called as homeostasis. So how can we define homeostasis? So homeostasis is body's natural ability to maintain internal environment despite changes in external environment, and it involves regulation of temperature within normal limits, that is 37 degrees Celsius or 98.6 degree Fahrenheit, pH regulation, glucose and water balance, etc. So what are the components of homeostasis? Homeostasis has main three components, and these components work in coordination with each other to maintain internal environment in well balanced condition. These components are receptor, control center and effector. Receptor is also called as sensors, and they detect changes, and these changes are called as stimuli. Thermoreceptors detect change in temperature, and chemoreceptors detect change in chemicals like carbon dioxide, oxygen, etc. So what are the role of these receptors in homeostasis? They detect changes in internal environment, and after detecting these changes they set signals to next component, and the next component is control center. So in human body the basic control center is our brain, mainly hypothalamus. Spinal cord also plays some role, but it is very limited. So what is the role of control center in homeostasis? After receiving information from receptor, control center determine an appropriate response to maintain internal environment, and it sends signals to next component, that is effector. So what is the role of an effector in homeostasis? So effectors generate final response to initiate balance, and main effectors are glands and muscles. For example, when human body temperature rises, then sweat gland produce heat by sweating to cool the body, and when it goes down, then our body muscles start shivering to warm the body. In this way, these components work in integration with each other. I will also explain how are these components working with each other by different example in next slides. Almost all systems of human body contribute in homeostasis. For example, respiratory system, circulatory system, digestive system, urinary system, etc. But the main role is played by nervous and endocrine system. So what is the role of nervous system in homeostasis? It gives very fast but short-term regulation. How do it works? It works by using nerve impulses and neurotransmitters, that are chemical messengers, to respond quickly to any change in internal environment. For example, thermoregulation. Thermoregulation means to maintain temperature within normal limits. So when a change occurs in temperature, then it is directed by hypothalamus, and it sends signals to effectors, that are sweat glands and muscles, to generate an appropriate response to maintain the temperature within normal limits. Next, what are reflexes? Reflexes are our quick, sudden or involuntary responses that we generate to protect us from any sudden harmful condition. For example, when we touch an object that is too hot to cause harmful effects to our body, then we suddenly pull our hand back or away from that object, that is a reflex, and this reaction is made by nervous system. Next system is endocrine system, and it gives slow but long-term regulation. What is mechanism? Endocrine system works by using hormones that are secreted by different endocrine glands directly into blood, and targeted organ receive these hormones by blood circulation. For example, blood glucose regulation. Two main hormones that are involved in glucose regulation in human body are insulin and glucagon, that are secreted from pancreas. So when blood glucose level rises, then insulin is secreted and it decreases blood glucose by different metabolic reaction. In contrast, when blood glucose level decreases, then glucagon is secreted by pancreas and it increases blood glucose level by different reactions in human body. Next is water balance. So whenever body needs conservation of water, for example in case of dehydration or hypovolemia, then antidiuretic hormone is secreted from pituitary gland, and it works on kidney tubules to increase reabsorption of water in body, and it decreases urine output. In this way, endocrine system help in maintaining internal environment of human body. Two types of mechanisms are involved in homeostasis, that are negative and positive feedback mechanisms, and the function of these mechanisms are opposite to each other, and we will discuss these mechanisms in next slides. Negative feedback mechanism. When a change occurs in human body that is perceived as stimulus, then this mechanism maintains an internal equilibrium by either reversing or reducing the change or stimulus. I will explain you by an example of thermoregulation how do this mechanism reverse or reduce the change to maintain an internal equilibrium. When body temperature rises, that is stimulus, then it is detected by thermoreceptors, and these receptors send signal to control center, that is hypothalamus, and hypothalamus sends signals to effectors that generate an appropriate response to maintain an equilibrium. These effectors are sweat glands and skin blood vessels. Sweat glands produce sweat that help in cooling the body, and skin blood vessel dilates and heat radiates from the skin surface. Then finally body temperature falls down and homeostasis is maintained. So in initial body temperature is rising, but in final body temperature has fallen down. In this way you can understand how did this mechanism reverse the initial stimulus to maintain an internal equilibrium. How does this negative feedback mechanism maintain internal equilibrium when body temperature falls? When this happens, then it is detected by a thermoreceptor. Control center, that is hypothalamus, detects it and sends signals to effectors, that are skeletal muscles and skin blood vessels. Skeletal muscles start shivering that help in generating heat. Skin blood vessels constrict, and in this way heat loss is minimized and retained in human body. In this way body temperature rises and homeostasis is maintained. So in initial body temperature is falling down, but in final body temperature has risen again. So again in this example, negative feedback mechanism reverse the initial stimulus to maintain equilibrium. Positive feedback mechanism, in contrast to negative feedback mechanism that is reducing or reversing the change or stimulus, this mechanism help in maintaining homeostasis by amplifying or increasing the change or stimulus. I will explain you by example how is amplifying or increasing the change crucial for maintaining homeostasis. So first example is lactation, that is breastfeeding. So when baby suckles the nipple, that is stimulus, then nipple receptors are stimulated. Nerve signals sent to hypothalamus, that is control center. In response, hypothalamus sends signals to posterior pituitary gland, and this gland secretes oxytocin hormone. In response to that hormone, mammary gland produces and ejects milk. Baby gets milk and continues suckling, and this cycle repeats again and again until baby stops suckling the nipples. So in this way you can see that this mechanism increases the change to maintain homeostasis in human body. Next example of positive feedback mechanism is childbirth. So at the end of pregnancy, when head of baby pushes against cervix, then this response is detected by receptors, and receptors send nerve impulses from cervix to brain, that is control center. In response, brain stimulates pituitary gland to secrete a hormone, that is oxytocin. Uterus, that is effector, gets this hormone by blood circulation. The main function of this hormone is to stimulate uterine contraction. In this way, it further pushes the baby towards cervix. So the initial response is amplified or increased to maintain homeostasis in mothers and newborns body. Here is a comprehensive summary of entire lecture. So homeostasis is body's ability to maintain and stable internal environment. It has three main components that work in coordination with each other to maintain homeostasis. These components are receptor, control center, and effector. Two types of mechanisms are involved in homeostasis, that are negative and positive feedback mechanism. Negative feedback mechanism maintain homeostasis by reversing or reducing the stimulus, for example, thermoregulation. Positive feedback mechanism maintain homeostasis by increasing or amplifying the stimulus. And examples of positive feedback mechanism are lactation, childbirth, and blood clotting. If you found my video helpful, then kindly subscribe, like, and share my channel.